Greetings everyone, this is Sheron Khokhar and this is my first video on the channel. Basically the channel would be covering educational content beneficial for aspirants of the civil services. Other than that, it may also help aspirants of other competitive exams. For instance, judiciary जैसे क्योंकि आज we are going to study preamble, ठीक है? It may be helpful for people in the domain of judiciary or law students, even for your college as well, I guess. So yeah. Without any further ado, before that, a brief introduction about myself. My name is Sheron, as I mentioned you earlier. I did my graduation from Jamia Millia Islamia in 2022 in commerce stream. After that, I'm currently pursuing law, 3 saal wala LLB. That is I'm expecting the degree to be completed in 2026. Right. So other than any other requests of your of like and subscription, let's move on to the topic, that is preamble. So before knowing preamble, we will just discuss the definition of constitution. Okay? So if you don't know the definition or if you don't know what is constitution exactly, just pause the video, go and Google it. You would still be getting preamble. I just want you to know the definition of constitution, right? And even if you know it, just pause the video and recite the definition for a minute, right? I assume you must have done that. So constitution, just the definition, basic layman language में, constitution is the fundamental law of land. Okay? Now, but if I have to define it in a more technical language, that is in the language of polity. So constitution is the constitution is the set of fundamental principles and rules that constitute or form the basis of a legal political entity. Okay? That is a state. I'll repeat it in much more simpler language. The constitution is a set of principles or rules that form the basis of a political system. That is a state. State मतलब any country. ठीक है? हिंदी में भी बोल देता हूँ, संविधान जो है वो एक set of rules है या set of fundamental principles है जो कि नींव रखते हैं एक राज्य व्यवस्था की. Okay, I hope I'm clear with this. Now, constitution can be written or unwritten, right? For instance, India has a written constitution, UK has an unwritten constitution. Unwritten constitution मतलब ये नहीं होता है कि constitution है ही नहीं, लिखा ही नहीं हुआ है. It is just that it's not compiled in a book, right? So, Constitution of India, which is the largest in the world, happens to have a preamble as well. Now, preamble written constitution में ही होगा, but what is preamble and why do we need it? Okay, now before digging deeper into what is preamble and the purpose of it, and we'll be studying preamble of India in depth. Basically, preamble जो है वो written में ही हो सकता है, right? It is only in the written constitution that. Now this gives us one point, that preamble is a customary and not compulsory thing, right? So preamble is not a compulsory thing. It is upon the state. It may have a preamble or it may not have a preamble. So basically, मोटा मोटी तौर पे preamble क्या है? एक gist है. If I say it in a layman language, it is just the summary of the whole constitution. ठीक है? और preamble को define अगर हम करेंगे, तो preamble is the introductory statement to the constitution. Okay? It is a preface to the constitution. It is a customary, not compulsory document or thing to have, right? It is an introductory statement to the constitution. What does it have? It has the core principles, the core philosophy and the values that we as a state have, or we as a state strive to achieve those things. Okay? Am I clear with you on this? Okay. Now, अगर कभी question आता है preamble के ऊपर, so you can start with some statement given by some big personalities, right? Like for instance, I can remember Mr. Thakur Das Bhargav. He said that preamble is the soul of the Indian Constitution. The soul of the Indian Constitution. Who said this? Mr. Thakur Das Bhargav. Also, this was also mentioned by a former Chief Justice of India, Mr. Muhammad Hidayatullah. He mentioned this along with a big statement. I don't remember the exact of it, but he did mention that preamble is the soul of the Indian Constitution. And another fact about Mr. Hidayatullah is that he is the only person until now who has served as the Vice President, President and Chief Justice of the country. No one else has been there in all the three positions. Okay, now that we know what is preamble, it is just an introductory statement and what do you say that customary, not compulsory. It is just an introductory statement. It is the values and philosophies, and it states that what we want to achieve as a state, right? So about the preamble, we will be studying about the preamble. Before that, is preamble a part of the Constitution? Is preamble a part of the Constitution? That is the first thing. This question was raised in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court in Berubari Union case, I'll rather write it down. In the Berubari Union case, (1960), this was in re case, that is under Article 143(1). What is Article 143? The power of President to consult Supreme Court. Okay. After that, another case which talks about the preamble being a part of the Constitution or not is the Keshwanand Bharti. ये तो मतलब हर किसी को पता ही होगा केशवानंद भारती का केस. Even if you are not an aspirant or a law student and just aware, you must be knowing this. केशवानंद भारती केस के बाद LIC case. This was, I remember, 1985 or 1995. 95, yes. It's 1973. यहाँ पे 7 जजेस की बेंच बैठी थी. 7 judges. This 13 judges bench. And this bench has been the highest so far that has set upon a case. ठीक है? 13 judges से ऊपर की bench आज तक नहीं बैठी हुई है. Now, yeah, and one more fact. This is a fact cloud or something. A constitutional bench क्या होती है? जब उसमें 5 या उससे ज़्यादा जजेस हो. ठीक है? 5 या उससे ज़्यादा जजेस हों तो constitutional bench होती है. Now, is preamble a part of the Constitution? Part of Constitution. Is preamble a part of Constitution? Supreme Court has decided upon the, what do you call it, the preamble being a part of the Constitution or not. In these cases, mainly in these two. So बाद में और एक retaliate किए थे. So in the Berubari Union case, it was the case relating to the exchange of enclaves between India and Pakistan, but you need not know that what was the case and everything. Preamble is not a part of the Indian Constitution. This was held in the case of Berubari Union. ठीक है? But यार ये the SC also said that the preamble is key to open the mind of the framers of the Constitution. ठीक है? Now, talking about key to open the minds of the framers of the Constitution, why did they say that? Why did they say this? Because how was preamble made? The history of preamble, basically सबसे पहले objective resolution. OR means objective resolution. Okay, this is something else. I should have told you this before. Apologies for the same. Objective resolution, then formation of Constitution, and then we got our preamble. ठीक है? So what is objective resolution? Objective resolution was basically the document which had the philosophy on which the philosophy it was the document which had the philosophy of building the provisions of the Constitution. ठीक है? Who introduced objective resolution? J.L. Nehru. Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru introduced objective resolution on 13th December 1946. Just forget this for a while. focus on this. I should have told you this earlier only. My bad. I apologize for the same. 13 December 1946, in the first session only of the Constituent Assembly. When was the first meeting of the Constituent Assembly? First meeting 9th of December. 9 दिसंबर फर्स्ट मीटिंग हुई थी. 11th of December को डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद वॉज अपॉइंटेड एज द chairperson of the Constituent Assembly. Anyways, that's just extra information. 13 December 1946 को ऑब्जेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया था. Now, after the objective resolution, constitution was formed, and after the constitution, preamble was formed. इतना ही जानना था, ठीक है. Now, coming back to the cases, is preamble a part of the constitution or not? ठीक है. The preamble is not a part of the constitution. This was held by the Supreme Court in the Berubari Union case. 1960, but it also mentioned that it is a key to open the minds of the framers of the constitution. But Supreme Court overruled its opinion or judgment in the Keshwanand Bharti case in 1973. It held that preamble is a part of the Indian constitution. Yes, this is the same case where the basic structure doctrine was introduced, and basic structure तो खैर बहुत बड़ा ही टॉपिक है अपने में. We will study about that. So preamble is a part of the Indian constitution. It was introduced in Keshwanand Bharti, though it does not confer any power or does not limit anything upon the government. For instance, let's say Article 239, ठीक है, power of president to administer union territories. Now, this article states that the president has the power to administer union territories directly or through administrators appointed by him. तो ये article जो है, this is giving power to the president, right? This is conferring the power to the president. But does preamble do anything similar like that? Does it confer any power? Does it limit any power? It does not. It does not confer any power to the organs of the state, any organs of the state. It does not confer any power to the state. It does not limit any. It does not limit any action of the state, right? So preamble does not do that, and it is not enforceable in the court of law. This was also mentioned in Keshwanand Bharti case. Preamble not being enforceable in the court of law, not conferring any power, not limiting the authority or arbitrariness, or not to say arbitrariness, not limiting the government or not powering the government, still is a part of the constitution, and it is a part, and it is हाँ इतना ही बोला था, and it is a part of the constitution, right? उसके बाद LIC of India case में it again reiterated that preamble is a part of the constitution. इसमें कोई खास हुआ नहीं था. Okay, so preamble currently, the modern understanding and the contemporary understanding is preamble is a part of the constitution. ठीक है. Now preamble पता चल गया हमको बना कैसे था. Preamble ये भी पता चल गया what is preamble. Now we will be studying about the preamble of Indian Constitution. The preamble of Indian Constitution, what is it? किसी को याद है preamble? You must remember the preamble by heart. I remember it, but just to not get it wrong or not to get the arrangement of the words wrong, I will read it out from the Constitution. Right, so Achha, before that I'll just tell you the source, then after I'll read it. Yeah, so preamble. What have we studied about preamble? Preamble is the gist of the constitution. It is the introductory statement, right? Introductory statement, and it does not confer, not enforceable, है ना? Also it does not limit or what you say confer any powers, तो not enforceable में मान लो आप, ठीक है. और part of constitution है ना. और क्या कह सकते हैं, हाँ, सोर्स क्या है प्रियम्बल का? How does the preamble start? The preamble starts saying, "We the people of India." And where have we taken the concept of preamble from? United States of America. We have taken the concept of preamble from USA. ठीक है? And the US Constitution's preamble also starts with "We the people." ठीक है? So it just tells the basic values or basic principles. Fundamental would be a better word, not basic. ठीक है? Source of Indian Constitution, we the people. It states that people are the ultimate source of the Indian Constitution. ठीक है? If you want to note it down, you may, but not that essential. And yeah, one heavy point here. It is not compulsory. है ना? States may have it or may not have it. Now let's move ahead with the keywords in the Constitution. I'll first explain the keywords and I'll then write it down here as well. But let's first begin. I'll recite the preamble, okay? And then we will discuss about the keywords those are mentioned in the preamble, which is important. You need to know those. So I'll just recite it and I'll take reference from the Constitution because I don't want to get it wrong. I mean, I do remember it, but just in case if I may. Okay. Yeah. So what does the preamble of the Indian Constitution say? We the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. ठीक है? Solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, we do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves the Constitution. So when was the Constitution adopted and enacted? 26th November, adopted and enacted as well. And came into force in 26 January. 26 जनवरी में इन्फोर्स हुआ था. ये क्यों हुआ था? इसका एक रीज़न है. इट वॉज टू कॉमोमरेट. अच्छा, ये दिस इज योर टास्क, स्मॉल टास्क, सॉर्ट ऑफ होमवर्क. यू फिगर आउट व्हाई दिस वाज डन इन 26 जनवरी. ठीक है. नाउ 26 नवंबर में ये अडॉप्ट और इनेक्ट हुआ था. वन थिंग दैट इज टू नोटिस इज आर्टिकल, बहुत सारा हो जाएगा, आर्टिकल 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, 324, 367 and 367, 379 and 394. All these articles were implemented from this date itself. ठीक है. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, 324, 367, 374 और 394. 379 और 394. All these were implemented from 26 November only. उसके बाद 26 जनवरी को बाकी रेस्ट ऑफ द आर्टिकल्स. वो आर्टिकल्स आप पढ़ोगे तो समझ जाओगे क्यों हुआ था 26 नवंबर में. Anyways, now we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Let's get and study about the keywords, which is the most important thing, right? So the preamble states the source of the Indian Constitution in the very first statement itself, right? We the people of India. stating that we the people of India are the source. Sorry. Reverse the cap here. Yeah, found it. Okay, so the very first thing is the source of the Indian Constitution. It is the people. The source is the people. Now, we the people of India solemnly resolve to constitute into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Okay. Now let's understand all these keywords one by one. What is sovereign? Sovereign means free from influence. Okay? Sovereign means you are independent of other factors. You are independent. You are sovereign. That means you are independent from influence. Independent from influence. अब ये दो तरीके का होगा. एक तो internal and the other one will be external. ठीक है. Sovereign means internal sovereignty भी होगी और external भी होगी. That means free from influence in their internal affairs and external affairs as well. But in today's era, internally तो we are supreme 100%. That's no doubt on that. Internally, most of the states are. Sovereign states are internally, almost all of them are supreme. But the bone of contention in these days in the modern contemporary world is about the external sovereignty. Why? I will explain you with an example. Let's say this is country A, state A, and this is state B. ठीक है. And इधर let's say इधर barren land है. This is of no use. Barren land, this is of no use. And this is the rest of the countries. Here we have another countries, C, D, F, G, E. ठीक है. Now A wants to trade with these countries, but due to the limited availability of resources, they cannot say use higher methods of transportation. यहाँ मान लो कुछ वो है waterways भी available नहीं है. They have to like fly. वही एक रास्ता है. But they do not have those resources to do it. Now the only way, hypothetically, मान लो the only way they have is to cross ways with B or just a part of B. ऐसे यहाँ से ये है ना. इनको थोड़ा सा जगह चाहिए for international trade in order to trade with other countries. Now B is sovereign internally, independent है. B इसको नहीं देगा रास्ता. क्यों दे भाई? कायदे से तो it is their discretion, it is their land, they would give it to them or not, right? Here comes the bone of contention that I was talking about in external sovereignty. Today in the contemporary world, there are certain subjects which are for the common good of the entirety of mankind and cannot be demarcated and cannot be put in silos by political demarcations. ठीक है. ये सरहदें जो है, कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जो किसी को नहीं बदल सकते, right? So, as one line I can remember from Mr. Ashutosh Rana, एक हवा में सांस है सबकी, अब क्या हवा भी नहीं चलाओगे? So you cannot run another air for different people, right? These are just borders. So anyways, A to E अगर आपको जाना है तो this is the path that is to be used and this belongs to country B. It is their own sovereign interest. बोल देंगे नहीं देंगे, ठीक है. There comes the external sovereignty which is not to be compromised in today's globalized world, but at times in the globalization era we have to settle or bring consensus in subjects such as environment, in subjects such as high seas. We have UNCLOS, United Nations Convention on the Law of Seas, right? We have the matter of environment, COP27 or 28, ये सब जो होते रहते हैं. These are all the common good of the mankind, right? So in those cases we cannot say that we are sovereign, so we will do as per we wish, but we will be externally independent from influence. Independent. For instance, if state C says to B कि मत दो एको रास्ता, तब ये नहीं दे रहा है, then this is not sovereignty, right? Then this is not sovereignty. So being independent from the external influence, that is what would amount to sovereignty. And if I have to just give an answer in one word, it is internally supreme and externally independent. ठीक है? Now the word socialist. It is important to know that socialist was not initially in the preamble. It was added by 42nd Amendment. 42nd Amendment, Constitutional Amendment Act, 1976. कुछ याद आया इससे 76 से? It is the time of emergency. And 42nd Amendment, a factual point about this is also known as, the amendment is also known as mini constitution because a lot of changes were done in this. ठीक है, तो 42nd Amendment में वर्ड ऐड किया गया था सोशलिस्ट. नाउ व्हाट सोशलिस्ट रिफ्लेक्ट अबाउट द स्टेट? सॉवरन तो हमको पता चल गया दैट वी आर सुप्रीम, वी आर नॉट इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय एनी अदर एक्टर, राइट? वी आर नॉट इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय एनी अदर स्टेट. इंटरनल अफेयर्स में तो हो ही नहीं सकता, द स्टेट इज सुप्रीम. एंड एक्सटर्नली ऑल्सो वी आर इंडिपेंडेंट टू टेक द डिसीजंस. इन इंटरनेशनल what do you say, subjects, we are free to take the decision. We are not influenced by anyone. So India is sovereign, that we can definitely say. Socialist. Socialist was added by 42nd Amendment Act, and we all know that the social paradigm in India, as what Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also said, that the social aspect, they are like so wide, the social paradigm, they're so wide that they cover each and every aspect of human life in India. And he was right. And that's why we have added this word. That may be the rationale behind adding socialist, because social, just a minute, I'll have some water, because socialism is that ideology which vouches for social ownership of means of production rather than private ownership. That means that in a community of 100 people, 1000 people, everyone will have the ownership of the means of production rather than a few players having it, right? तो ये तो काफ़ी detailed concept हो जाता है socialism. But socialism in India is not in the line of those in Russia or USSR at that time. So in the case of Excelsior versus Union of India, 1989, 1989, 1989, it was held that no. 80 में नरवा था, 1979, my bad. सोशलिज्म इसके बारे में क्लियर किया था सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इन एक्सेलवेयर वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया 1979. ये 76 है ना, तो 79 में ही हुआ था ये. India said, Supreme Court said that the socialism cannot ignore the interests of the other section. The socialism in India, it cannot ignore the interest of the other section of the society as well. Other section means, bhai, theek hai, we were not having high GDP per capita, or we were not having money, but there were some people who were private owners, there were some people who were capitalists, right? Not capitalists, I should say, but businessmen, big businessmen, right? There were some people. So the socialism principle of India, it cannot ignore them completely. This was held in Excelsior versus Union of India. State ownership वगैरह तो ठीक है, state will be there, but we cannot ignore the interest of the other section, that is the private owners, right? Sovereign, socialist, secular. Secular again was added with 42nd Amendment Act. In this, the term secular so added, and it is a part of basic structure. It was held in SR Bomai case. ठीक है? It is a part of basic structure. It was held in SR Bomai case 1994. That secularism is a part of the basic structure of the Constitution of India. This was in 1994. 94 का केस है ना. What is secularism? This is a word that is very highly, क्या कहना चाहिए, people do not know the exact meaning of this at times. They think that secularism means following all religion. No, that does not mean secularism. Secularism in the sense of with respect to, it is said in respect to the state, to the political entity. It is not said in respect to people usually. It is said in respect to the, with respect to the political entity, that is the state. So a secular state, you can write this down as well. A secular state is one which is separate from religion. Secularism is basically the ideology of separation from religion. ठीक है? Separation from religion तो है, but India में we have a different model of secularism, that is positive interference. We are here promoting all religions. We are not with any religion. We are not against any religion. We in India say that we have a model of secularism which is different from the France or the Western model that is promoting all the religions positively. ठीक है? This concept of secularism is followed in India, that is positive interference of the state in all religions without any discrimination. Secularism. Democratic, I don't think I need to tell you this. Elections need to be held and everything, all that, right? Republic क्या होता है? Okay, if you guys have told the answer, well and good, but if not, I'll tell you. Republic means the head of the state is elected. Who is the head of the state in India currently? Madam Draupadi Murmu ji, the President of India. She is currently the head of the state. And you must be thinking, and if you have voted ever, you must have voted for either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha or State Legislative Assembly, or your local panchayat or urban local body elections, in your local panchayat or urban local body elections, right? So who is the head of the state? How is the head of the state elected? The head of the state in India is the president. Okay? Head of the government is prime minister, head of the state is president. Election of president is done on the basis of proportional representation. ठीक है? Indirect election होता है, proportional, what do you call this? Proportional representation होता है. Just give me a minute, I need to drink water. Sorry, I got a bit late. It's the pen here. So, proportional representation होता है and single transferable vote भी होता है. You need not know about that. वो ज़्यादा डिटेल में हो जाएगा. ठीक है? So the constitution, the president of India, election जिनका होता है, that is indirect election through proportional representation method. Single transferable vote, indirect election होता है. But who elect the president? The elected members. I repeat, the elected members, है ना, elected members of the parliament and state legislature, they elect the president. तो ऑलरेडी इलेक्टेड लोग ही इलेक्ट कर रहे हैं, तो एक तरह से इलेक्शन इनडायरेक्ट है, बट वी आर कंसिडरिंग इट टू बी इलेक्टेड ओनली, राइट. इनडायरेक्ट है बट इलेक्शन तो है ही ना. नाउ वी हैव नोन अबाउट व्हाट इंडिया वी हैव solemnly resolved to constitute India into. Other than that, the next keywords that we need to focus is out. Let me bring the constitution book so that I can read out the preamble to you. Just give me a minute, guys. Did I tell you about who can vote in president election? If not, then the elected members of the state assemblies, legislative council नहीं, उसके अलावा सब ना, लोकसभा, राज्यसभा भी, लोकसभा भी, और elected members of the legislative assembly, not the legislative council. Legislative council अभी 6 जगह पे, 6 states पे we have legislative council, which is known as विधान परिषद in हिंदी, ठीक है. Those cannot vote. यूपी में है, बिहार में है, महाराष्ट्र में है, तेलंगाना में है, आंध्रा में है, and one more state, I'm forgetting it. Anyways, maybe Tamil Nadu, I don't remember. Anyways, let's come back to our preamble keywords. The keywords I do remember. I'll write the keywords first. Justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. ये कहाँ से इंस्पायर हुआ होगा? This is very popular word, late 18th century and French Revolution. All these words we can all पूरा ही को कह सकते हैं. Mainly this liberty one, French Revolution से ये इंस्पायर हुए, ठीक है, कहा जा सकता है. ऐसा एक्सप्लिसिट तो कहीं दिया नहीं है, बट कहा जा सकता है. Now, what is, I'll just read it out. Justice, social, economic and political ठीक है. Liberty of faith, not faith first, liberty of thought expression, belief, faith and worship. Yes, belief, faith and worship, ठीक है. Equality of opportunity, of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all. Fraternity, ठीक है. Assuring the dignity of the individual, and यहाँ पे एक mentioned है unity and integrity of the nation. नेशन भी लिखी दो, ठीक है। नाउ व्हाट इज फ्रेटर्निटी, और सॉरी, लेट्स फर्स्ट नो अबाउट द वर्ड इंटीग्रिटी। इंटीग्रिटी मीन्स अखंडता, ठीक है। इंटीग्रिटी इन हिंदी मीन्स अखंडता, sorry about that. So integrity was also added by 42nd amendment. It was also added by 42nd constitutional amendment. Justice, social, economic and political. तो ये हमने क्या सिर्फ यहाँ पे social, economic and political ऐसी लिख दिया है, या फिर is there some sense behind putting this order? Social, economic, political. Is there some sense? Think about it. In India, you must be knowing that India, the salient features of Indian society, if you have read about it, you must be knowing that India is having a social system which has been discriminatory to a large class of people. That's why it is important to put up social justice first. And this is the time when we had just got independence, when this was made. The condition of the country was not that good. What you see today was not there at those times. Today, some people sitting in certain eateries or restaurants, calling them cafes, where most of them might not be even cafes, because cafe is basically a place serving coffee and some light beverages and snacks. So people not even knowing the meaning of cafe, saying that we are sitting in a cafe enjoying the ambience, and criticizing government for not being as good as our neighboring country, say China or the Western world, should know that from where we have come from, the history, है ना। तो जहाँ पे आज हम खड़े हैं वो बहुत मुश्किल से आए हैं. वी आर वे बेटर देन व्हाट वी वर. और आप बाकियों से कंपेयर मत करिए. फॉर इंस्टेंस चाइना वगैरह से लोग कर देते हैं कि चाइना इतना बेहतर है. चाइना इज़ अ कम्युनिस्ट कंट्री, इंडिया इज़ अ डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री. देयर इज़ डिफरेंस एंड यू शुड नो द हिस्ट्री ऑफ ऑल, राइट. और हम लोग आज काफ़ी कामयाब हैं. वी आर ऑल I mean the country, we as a state, India is quite developed. We have come a long way. और यहीं पे बशीर बद्र का एक शेर है, वो मैं बोलता हूँ कि ये फूल मुझे कोई विरासत में मिले हैं क्या, ये फूल मुझे कोई विरासत में मिले हैं, तुमने मेरा कांटों भरा बिस्तर नहीं देखा. सो जहाँ पे आज हम खड़े हैं उसके पीछे बहुत लोगों का सैक्रिफाइस रहा है. तो प्लीज़ वैल्यू करिए चीज़ों को दैट यू आर हैविंग टुडे, है ना. So anyways, not digressing from the topic much now, coming back, justice, that is first we will put social. As I said, Dr. Ambedkar, as I earlier only in the class I said कि Dr. Ambedkar ने बोला था कि social paradigm of this country is so vast that it covers each and every aspect of the life. Social justice, the priority. मतलब कि societal जो differences हैं, society में सबको justice देना, right? Got this. Then economic and political. Economic मतलब कि equal wages for equal work, all that in economic justice. Political justice, absence of unreasonable restrictions. ठीक है, unreasonable restrictions on political justice. Political as in you are having the right to vote. Everyone, we put up universal adult suffrage, है ना. हम लोगों ने सबको rights दिए हैं. We are having equal voting rights for everyone. We do not have any distinction on that. Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. Now this is very important, that faith and worship. I'll explain this. Before that I'll tell you liberty. Liberty means absence. किस चीज़ का? Absence किस चीज़ का? Absence of restrictions. ठीक है, absence of restrictions. Liberty means absence of restrictions. Liberty का तो आर्टिकल भी है भाई, right to personal life and liberty, article 21, which is the widest or the मतलब एक article, if we have to say that it can constitute the whole of constitution, that is article 21, right? It is very vast and it has inferred rights. It does not have direct rights mentioned. It has inferred rights. The rights are inferred by it. Anyways, coming back here, liberty of thought, your thought, no restrictions. You're not restricted to think upon your expression. You can express, you can criticize the government. You're not restricted to criticize the government. You can criticize the government. That's the beauty of democracy, right? Expression, belief, faith, and worship. Now, one very, very, very important thing, I'll tell you this with an example. India the state, we give so much so liberty that a person, for instance, is practicing any religion, he or she may or may not follow the essential practices of that religion and still be a part of that religion. Article 25, freedom to religion and freedom from religion as well. We are free to interpret the religion in our own ways, even if the essential practice we do not follow or anyone does not follow. I'll not mention any practice as such, but if they do not follow it, they will still be a part of the religion. But at the same time, the state will not do anything or take any measure that will restrict the practice of essential, that will restrict the actions of essential practices, that will hinder someone from doing the essential practices. This is what this country is. Okay, so be thankful for things, as I said you. And equality of status and opportunity, you all know. I don't think I have to explain this. Equality, there are a number of articles, 14 to 19, all talk about equality and everything. And equality, you all know. Fraternity, this is something that you should know. What is fraternity? Brotherhood. ठीक है, हिंदी में बोलूँ तो बंधुत्व, the spirit of brotherhood. Having the spirit of brotherhood, we want to promote a spirit of brotherhood. India is so diverse. For instance, a Delhiite cannot relate to a Tamilian to an extent that he can relate to a Uttar Pradesh resident, right? Udiya cannot relate as much to a Gujarati as he can or she can relate to, say, a Chhattisgarhi, to the neighboring state. And a Chhattisgarhi may not be able to relate to a Manipuri to a higher extent. They may relate it themselves to Madhya Pradesh. So we are having diversity, but unity in diversity is the buzzword for the country that we are living in. So people, we are definitely having a very unified state. We do have this. We have the fraternity, we have the brotherhood among ourselves, and the state also says that we want to promote the spirit of brotherhood. That's why it's mentioned in the preamble. Okay? So the spirit of brotherhood, that has to be promoted through fraternity. That means fraternity, the spirit of brotherhood, and equality of status and opportunity. Everyone has to be treated equally before the eyes of law. Equality before law, equal opportunity, and having. And also one more thing, equality. Equality does not mean equal treatment of unequals. If you're providing equal treatment for unequals, that does not amount to equality. For instance, if you are a parent or if you are anyone, किसी के दो बच्चे हैं, one is very good, one is having good physical posture, having those muscles and everything, and the other one is a little weak. Not saying that he or she is not competent, but a little weak. Now you put both of them in front of a professional wrestler. Now obviously the first person, the former person, will stand better off than the latter one, right? पहला वाला तो ज़्यादा देर तक टिक जाएगा ना, अगर जीत ना पाए तो. Then the second one. Now can you say that these two are, this one is better off? No, we cannot say. What would be the equality? Making them wrestle on their own weight categories. That's why in boxing, wrestling, weight categories होती हैं, है ना? So take that example and relate it to the constitutional provisions that we have.